Before we get right into this video, I just want to tell y'all about the book that I have, the most recent ebook that I released back in March called Stories to Read While Sailing the Deep Blue Sea. Link in the description box below. Pick up my latest ebook, Stories to Read While Sailing the Deep Blue Sea. Such a long title, but I'm gonna try to make this announcement short about it. So it's a book, it's a short story book, so that's why it's an ebook, but it's a short story book with just a collection of short stories. Three short stories that I written while I was in school, and I just thought, hey, let's make this book happen. So if you're a fan of short stories that range from the genre of drama, romance, and mystery, those are the three genres. If you are fans of that, then by all means check out the book. Or if you just want to support, or if you just want something to read, because reading is still important, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're watching the video right now. You might be listening to this ad on audio, but reading is still important. And you can start your reading journey by supporting me. Link in the description box below. Once again, stories to read while sailing the deep blue sea by yours truly. All right. So I started off sweet because things are about to get sour. You know what I'm saying? I guess, you know, as you can see from the title from this episode, the ugly ass thumbnail that I got, and also the title of this topic here. It's about your man Charlston White. Now, if he's your man's, um yikes. That's all I'm gonna say to you. But at the same time, I'm gonna say a lot about your man. So yeah, I'm gonna start off with saying yikes, but at the same time, if you are offended by, because I know a lot of people, they pick these saviors, right? They pick these personalities. They like the dick ride and all this other shit, right? And they get hella offended when people don't like those individuals or have a critique about those individuals. Kevin Samuels got people like that. Charleston White has people like that. A lot of these people, especially these red pill motherfuckers, they got people like that. A lot of these dudes who are claimed to be alpha males or super intelligent males tend to act like some very emotional bitches and dick riders when you critique one of their little heroes, their little daddy figures, right? But I don't give a fuck. You know, there's gonna be a lot of cursing in this segment, and I'm trying not to curse. But you know, when this situation happens, or a situation like this, it's warranted. Fuck Charleston White. Let me start off by saying that, just because that's what the title is anyway. Fuck Charleston White. He can go around saying fuck this person, fuck that person, especially with dead people. When you feel as though you can go around saying fuck this person, fuck that person, and they're dead, they're not even here to defend themselves or say fuck you back at the very least. Yeah, that's some punk ass shit. That's some punk ass shit. As tough as he try to pretend to be or whatever the case is, that's some punk ass shit. He could have every excuse in the world while he said fuck this rapper, fuck this dead rapper, fuck that dead rapper, fuck whatever the case is. But you saying that and they have family, I got notes here for a reason. That is part of my notes, but I want to stay on track. So like I said, let me start off by saying fuck Charleston White. And if you see me looking down for the YouTube watchers, looking down on my notes. All right, you see this ugly ass handwriting? You know what I'm saying? It's not as ugly as your daddy, but you know what I'm saying? Your daddy being Charleston White, if that's who he is, but you know, I can admit my writing's ugly. But I can read it. So I'm gonna look down at my notes because this is definitely not something that I wanted to freestyle. Because I knew if I were to freestyle all of what I had to say about this, it just sound like a big jumbled mess, as it typically does when I'm freestyling and very passionate about some topics and shit. Or at least to me, it can sound like that. Not all the time, but there have been times where I'm like, I didn't get it off, pause. But no, I didn't get the message off. Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't get the message off, or rely the message the way that I wanted to, or say what I wanted to, simply because I was just going off and scatterbrain, and it happens. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, let me start off by saying there's two types of people who like Charleston White. All right. Now, if you're not one of those people, I automatically want to say that I fuck with you, like I love you, because thanks for not being one of these individuals. You could be a piece of shit in the other area, but as long as you're not these two, nah, let me not say that. But there's two types of people who like Charleston White: self-hating black people who only take pride in their blackness when it's cool, when they want to weaponize their blackness or own up to their black identity when it comes to things like, again, celebrating hip hop culture or black culture in general, the stuff that they can vibe with, right? The side of the culture that they can vibe with, or again, if they want to use it to their advantage to possibly get sexual partners with other people. You know what I'm saying? People who want to have sex with someone black, or they can use that to make money for themselves. Those types of black folks, those black folks who are self-hating black folks and will pretend like they not some self-hating motherfuckers, but they really are. You know what I'm saying? These are the people. That's one type of individual who likes Charleston White. They like that negative talk about the black community. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not in here to pretend like the community is perfect. I've gone on its podcast for as many years as I've been doing it. Heck, I've gone on YouTube before it was primarily my podcast content, and talked about the ugly side of the ugliness of the black community. So simply because someone talks about it or acknowledges these things doesn't necessarily make them a self hater, but it's how you say it and what you're saying. And Charleston White, the shit that he's saying, he wants to take this Kevin Samuels route, whatever the fuck. Anyone who want to take that route and go that deep, you a self hater. You use your culture, your identity to your advantage, as Charleston does, and these very people are like that. Only difference is they're not famous like Charleston White, but he being just like them in that sense, yeah, of course I see why they idolize that nigga, because they are self haters just like him. They hate the black community. They hate black folks just like them. I don't give a fuck how many donations or how many things that he will brag about doing for black folks. And again, I'll get into that as well, because I got notes, nigga. Like I got everything. You know what I'm saying? I got points for this nigga. You know what I'm saying? So let me finish off, because I'm already getting in rambling, right? So, like I said, the first group of people who love Charleston White and treat his words like gospel are self-hating black folks who use their culture to their advantage. That's number one. Number two are low IQ having black folks who think everything that they haven't heard before is intelligent. Charleston White may have exposed a lot of niggas to some shit that they haven't heard before. The thing is, and I will get into this, Charleston White is no different. We've seen Charleston White before. We have Charleston Whites within our community. Charleston White is the drunk uncle who does nothing but spews a bunch of bullshit, whether it's conspiracies that are disproven or conspiracies that have a little bit of truth and then 97% of it is just bullshit, or just a bunch of self-hating, community-hating, black, anti-black shit, rhetoric and BS like that. This the drunk high uncle. Like, we've seen this nigga before. You know what I'm saying? Whether he is your uncle literally, or we call him uncle because he is, of a older, because in the community, that's what we do. We call, older, the older men, uncles, older women, aunties and stuff. They may not be our aunties. They may not be our uncles, but we give them that name. Charleston White is that, though. It's just a drunk ass uncle that we've seen before. There's many Charleston Whites. The only difference between the Charleston White in your hood that you may have grown up in or in the hood now, and the Charleston White that we all know is obviously the Charleston White that we see is famous, and he did something different than the drunk motherfuckers that we've known about. The drunken high niggas, you know, the ones that was on all types of shit, not just weed, but coke and alcohol and all that other shit, spewing this shit, spewing this anti-black shit around black folks, spewing conspiracy shit that makes no sense around black folks, spewing the ridiculous shit that they say around black folks. We've seen this nigga before. So that goes to my next point. It's I don't necessarily understand the infatuation with him. If it's a Gen Z infatuation with this dude, like a lot of the folks who are into him are a lot of the black folks who are into him are Gen Zers, and that drunk ass uncle just got X'd out of the hood, and they haven't seen that before. Because when I say we've seen that before, I mean myself as a millennial and a generation above, but I'm not entirely sure if Gen Zers, anyone who is of the Gen Z, you will have to let me know if you've seen a Charleston White, a black Gen Zer. Let me put it that way, make it clear. If you grew up in the hood and you in a black community, have you seen a Charleston White? It's that simple to the black Gen Zers. To my black millennials, we've seen Charleston Whites before. To the black boomers, baby boomers, they've seen shit. They birthed them niggas. They birthed the Charleston Whites that I was seeing growing up. So I know they've seen them. So with that being said, I don't know if Gen Z has the Charleston Whites, and Charleston White might be the first of their kind that they're seeing. But if that is the case, you've seen the drunk, alcoholic, drug addict nigga that's going around spewing shit and acting like he's the most intelligent motherfucker in the hood simply because he's not dealing drugs, simply because he's not in the gang, he hasn't killed anybody and all this other shit, even though he threatens to kill people, he threatens to harm people all the fucking time, but yet he believes that he is better. He's the worst type of degenerate simply because he believes he's better than the other degenerates in the hood. He's better than everybody else simply because he doesn't do the exact same thing that they do. That's the worst type of fucking anything to me, is the worst type of hypocrite. But just, you know, someone used this word when I announced I was going to be talking about him, in this episode. They say he's a degenerate. And I'm like, yeah, you absolutely right. And he's the worst type of degenerate because at least the degenerates that he wants to get on aren't denying that shit. He could get on Sexy Red all he wants. Sexy Red don't be denying the fucking shit. Sexy Red, now you whether you agree with her shit or not, she's not pretending to be better. She's simply just saying, this is me and who I am. You want to call me a degenerate? I guess I'm a degenerate. This nigga, Charleston White, is the degenerate that wouldn't call himself a degenerate because he's not doing what Sexy Reds does, or he's not, selling dope, or he's not, promoting violence, even though he does, but he's not in a gang and all this other shit. He claims he's not harming the community. Just because he's not physically harming the community, he believes that he's better than the community. And this is the mentality that the fan base, the part of his fan base has. Those who are self-hating motherfuckers. Those who feel as though, oh, I'm not doing harm to the community. My words aren't doing harm or worse harm than the physical harm that is being done to the community. Here's my thing. I understand that physical harm is obviously worse than words, but words do still hurt. Words are still harmful. Words still can be harmful, my nigga. If that was the case, why are you getting offended when motherfuckers show up at your shows? And he's a comedian, by the way. I just saw this video today. Today, as in the day that I'm recording this right now. I just saw this video today. I had no idea this man was considered a comedian. If this nigga is considered a comedian, though, then I should have the right to put that on my damn resume because I make people laugh all the fucking time. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, to me, it's like we can't call the drunk uncle a comedian. You know, he's a drunk ass nigga that be a smoking whatever the fuck he smoked, drinking whatever the fuck he drank, on his bullshit, talking his bullshit. You know what I'm saying? To some people, that's funny. To some, it's irritating. To some, we see right through that BS. And we're like, we know we've seen this before. So we're not infatuated by it because we've seen it before. We've heard the harmful shit before. And we never mind it because they're still of the community. We just said, ah, oh, that's that nigga. Leave him alone. And that's primarily why the drunk uncles growing up never got the fame that they got. They didn't go viral and shit. Because the millennials was like, we're used to seeing this bullshit. We didn't feel the need to record these dumb motherfuckers speaking. And then put them on, make them go viral, right? And that's where I believe maybe Gen Z black folks propped this man up because maybe they haven't seen that before. And now they felt as though because they haven't seen before, which goes to, again, his second fan base or the second grouping of his fan base, people who haven't seen him haven't seen anybody do the shit or say the shit that he says and believe because it's something different, it's intelligent. I'm going to tell you right now, that is not the case. And you're going to do yourself a lot of harm in life if you truly believe that all the shit that you haven't seen before or haven't heard before gives it value. You haven't seen the latest way motherfuckers is, stabbing people or whatever, or doing some harmful shit. That doesn't make it cool. It doesn't make it all right. It doesn't make it intelligent. Someone can say, I know a brand new way to get high off of, let's Tide Pods, my nigga. Tide Pods was a brand new way of people getting high and overdosing on some shit that they shouldn't have been doing in the first place. And I still think I think Tide still it tells people not to eat these things. And it is bad that it had to get to the point where something as obvious as don't put this in your motherfucking mouth had to be said out loud. That's how crazy it is because you have people like, I've never seen this before. This is a genius way to get high. It's not. No, you're gonna do yourself harm if you continue thinking that and you continue following people like a Charlston White or just anybody in general, not even just him. And you think, oh my God, I haven't seen someone like this before. I haven't heard these things before. So it must be intelligent. And that's why I had to put the precursor low IQ black folks. Because that's some low IQ type shit. I don't give a fuck. I wanted to use another word. I wanted to use the R word on your asses. But I figured I'm gonna do a lot of more cursing here, and I ain't even nearly done to what some of the shit I had to say. So let me make it cool. And I want the hostility, the bulk of the hostility to be on Charlston White himself. But your fans are gonna get it because you motherfuckers propped this nigga up. And also, you were gonna get offended anyway. You were going to get offended. I was going to use another word though. I'ma chill out. But the next time, going forward, and anybody who try to come at me defending this man, I'm going to use the word on your ass. So that's your warning. All right. Now, as I've stated before, all right, let me read what I have written here. All right. He's the type to believe he isn't harmful because he's not physically harming people. Yes, as I stated that before. But here's something that is crazy. I'm gonna close my notes real quick. Use this phone as here as a little bookmark. I'm gonna close this real quick because I'm gonna need both my hands real quick now. But I'm gonna go off the cuff. I'll go off the cuff just a little bit. This nigga admitted to raping a woman. I don't give a fuck if this man was saying, and I have it here in my notes. I'll go over that. Yes, he say things that I agree with? Yes. Maybe about anywhere between 3 to 5% of the time. But a broken clock is right twice a day. And I agree with everybody. So I will get into that later on. It's not super hard for anybody to say something that I'm gonna agree with. I agree with right-wing politicians. I agree with liberals. There are things people are going to say that I agree with. That don't mean everything that they say is fucking gospel. That doesn't mean that I'm going to latch on to everything that they say or even like that individual because I agree with some conservative values or right-wing values, and I agree with some liberal values and shit. I clearly have my disagreements. Again, I'll get into all of that, but this man is on video, on camera, admitting to rape, saying that, if a bitch says she don't want it and I'm going to get, and I'm horny and my dick hard, I'm going to give it to her. And the bitch said, this is y'all's man's. And again, I'm not surprised because we've seen niggas like that growing up. Again, we've seen that before. So I'm not surprised. You know, the thing is, y'all are propping this man up to be some type of angel or some type of hood savior when he claims not to be harmful or he pretends not to be harmful, yet he admitted to rape. And even if he was lying, if he made that story up, the simple fact of the matter is this joke was harmful. It is harmful. Why? Because you're putting it out there. You're putting the message out there. And I talked about this last week as well. The whole aspect of being, conscious of the messages you put out there. He's putting the message out there that it's okay to force a woman or force anyone to, have sex with you or have sexual to commit a sexual act on you or whatever when they don't want it. That it's okay to force yourself on somebody. This is y'all's man's. Whether he has done it before or not, again, he's on video saying he did it, but no one has, to my knowledge, at least, no one has came out and said Charlston White. No one's accusing him of doing stuff like Diddy's being accused of doing stuff. Like Dwight Howard recently was accused of doing stuff, and like many others have been accused of doing stuff like that. But he accused himself of doing it because he said it. You know what I'm saying? So simply because someone else hasn't come out and said it, he said it. And if this was a joke, it's still harmful. So this, again, going back to this whole idea of him believing he's not harmful to the community, it's bullshit. Simply because you're not out here shooting motherfuckers, or at least, you say you carry and stuff, which I ain't got no problem with that. I carry, I'm not going to be the one that's like, oh my God, he's going to harm somebody because no, it's to protect myself. And he says that's the reason he carries as well. But he's quick to threaten motherfuckers. You don't see me quick to threaten anybody. I have God, to God's grace, I've never had to use my weapon on anybody. And I pray to God that I never do. I pray to God that I have it and never have to use it on anybody ever. But I still have it for the simple, for protection. But the thing is, I'm not, harming anybody with it. And also, I'm not trying to put on this act that, things that I say is not harmful to folks or this, that, that. I know for a fact, hell, simple shit, right, that I've been saying there can be considered harmful. You're not gonna see me try to deny that, or I'm not harming the community or I'm not harming people. Well, I am not harming the community. You know what I'm saying? I'm calling out Charlston White and the Charlston Whites and the people who look up to him. It's not calling out the entire community because it's like I said, there's only two types of black people who like this nigga. Let's say all black folks. clearly, if me saying all would be me, and I'm clearly not one of them. And in fact, the person who called him a degenerate, who inspired me to use that term, is a black woman. You know, there's tons of other black folks who don't agree with this dude. So again, it's not the entire community who um feels the same way as the two groups that I feel. That not that I feel that I mentioned feel about him. You know, and you can always tell that these people are exactly that. You can always tell. It's not people who can reasonably, because I've never heard a reasonable response from anybody. Because I've heard folks get on videos. I've heard folks get into chat rooms and all this other stuff and all these other places. I've heard folks try to justify their liking for Charlston White. All of it sounded exactly what I said. It was either anti-black folks who use the culture to their advantage, who only want to claim and be proud of their blackness to use it to their advantage. It was folks who were on that vein, or people that I'm like, I know for a fact the only reason you like this nigga is because you ain't never heard some shit like this before from him, and you probably haven't been exposed to the drunk uncle, you know? If you have, I don't understand why. Well, I do understand why. Well, I don't understand why, but I know why. Let me put it that way. I know why you're bigging up Charleston White, but you look at the drunk uncle and you're like, you ain't shit and you ain't never gonna be shit. Because Charleston White is famous. Which is the irony of what he was saying when he was on Cam Newton's podcast, because he said that one of the problems in the black community, and again, this is something that I agree with, you know. But one of the problems within the black community is we only tend to care about people who have fame, you know, prop up people and listen to people with fame. So if there's a lot of famous black folks telling you to do some dumb shit or to live a, you know, fucked up life, we meaning that as a community, you know, not we as in you or me or whatever, but we as a community will follow that individual. The irony of this nigga to say that, because to the people who are fans of this man, who look down on the drunk uncles in the hood, but look up at this nigga, they're looking up at you, Charleston, not because you're actually saying something of worthy. It's because you're famous. And it goes back to what I said before about you. The only difference between yourself and the drunk uncles that we know is you're famous and they're not. You all say the same shit. Y'all look the same. Y'all slur. Y'all fuck. Yeah. Y'all always yuck mouthing. You're always tough talking. And yet you claim you're better than everybody because you're not going to harm anybody. But then you always talking about harming people. You have harmed people. You have raped motherfuckers. You have stolen. You have all this other stuff. But I guess it makes them better because I don't kill, right? You still sexual acts, you still innocence, you still you know, moments, right? Or you know, you do that, you steal property, but you know, you on some crackhead Ezel type shit, and because you don't go around killing people, you're automatically better than motherfuckers. But you're stealing from the community that already doesn't necessarily have a ton of resources, and you're going to steal shit from them. I'm not accusing Charleston White of stealing shit. I'm going on a tangent real quick. Like I said, I'm gonna go back to my notes in a minute, you know. But I'm talking about the motherfuckers who are on this vein of a Charleston White. Charleston got enough money now that he don't need to be going around stealing. But I bet you if he was one of those drunk uncles, like he probably was before the fame, this nigga would be stealing from his own community and still believing he's better than the community because he's not out there killing the community. But you're stealing resources, you're stealing goods from the community. And it don't make you better, my nigga. It don't make you better. Now back to the notes. All right. He went on again, Cam Newton's podcast. Another podcast I don't fuck with, but you know, It is what it is. We're not talking about Cam right now. We're talking about your man's, all right, your daddy, Charlston White. So he went on there, and as I've stated before, he went on, and he pretty much says, "Hey, like he says some things that I did agree with. That one some things. I probably mean like one thing, but he have said some things in the past, so I will give him that. He didn't look the best on that interview, but he never looks the best. But that interview certainly did not make him look great. But he has said some things again in the past that I typically agreed with. But like I have here, and I gotta hear my notes about like at most 5% of the time. 3 to 5, and even right now that might be too high. I want him probably lowered it down to motherfucker 2. It might be 2 teetering 3% of the time, you know. But even that's not enough. Even if it was as high as 5%, that means 95% of the shit he says is totally shit to me, and I don't fucking agree with it. Now, I can disagree with somebody 95% of the time and still respect them. But I can't do that with Charlston White because he old disrespectful ass nigga who disrespects the community, a hypocrite, the worst type of degenerate, and he don't deserve the respect from the community or myself. I don't give a fuck if he's never said anything to me directly. He can flash, oh, I got all this money with his old ass, old as he is. I saw that video, right? I referenced the video, right? Then I'm going on another tangent. But there's the video of him at a comedy club. He goes back and forth with this with a crowd member, right? But he started the fight. Yes, there was a heckler in the crowd. What it happens at comedy clubs, and the fact that this nigga is still considered a comedian, but I'm not. I might feel a way about it, but fuck it. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But no, I don't really want to be called a comedian, but come on, him? Him? All right. All right. Anyways, he's at a comedy show. And nonetheless, whether I agree with his title of being a comedian or not, he's at a comedy show and he is going back and forth with a heckler, right? He threatens to fight the heckler. He threatens to hit the heckler. The heckler approaches the stage, but no strike was drawn by the heckler. I can't hear what the heckler is saying at this point because at first you can't hear because the camera, whoever was recording at the time, was probably like right next to the heckler or so close to the heckler, that you can obviously hear what he was saying, right? But there's a point where he gets close to the stage, right? Up to the stage, and Charleston is standing on the stage, of course. So you can hear Charleston because he's got a microphone, but you can't hear the heckler because he don't got a microphone and he's away from the camera. So I don't know if the heckler could have been saying, hit me, hit me, hit me then, right? You know what I'm saying? Some shit people would say when someone threatens to hit them, right? Whether someone asked for the hitting or not, Charleston started that fight by hitting him. Charleston hit the dude with a bouquet of flowers. I'm not fucking lying to y'all. He hit the man with a bouquet of flowers. And the man got up there, sadly didn't get his hands on him, or at least not enough to the point where it roughed up Charleston. You know what I'm saying? But Charleston's big thing was, haha, look at me, I got money, old as that nigga is. The drunk uncle has never been mature, but he's the drunk uncle has always been old and immature and stupid. But again, they think they're better than people because they're now out here killing people. They think they're better than people because they're now out here selling the drugs. But a lot of them are fucking crackheads. So it's like, but you're doing the drugs. How dare you look down on the very people that you're supplying, my nigga? How dare you look down at the very community that you are still harming, not only your words, but if you're stealing from these neighbors, you still harming them. If you're raping motherfuckers, you're raping these women in the community, and you say some shit like, "Oh, if I'm horny and I'm with a bitch and I want to fuck, and she better be ready, because if she not ready, then I'm going still." But hey, that's not harmful to you? Oh, because you didn't kill her after you raped her. Oh, I got it. I got it. That makes you better because you didn't kill her after you raped her. Got it. Got it. This is y'all's man's. This is y'all's man. You know what I'm saying? I pretty much addressed all my notes, and I did it in under an hour. I swear, I thought I was going to this was going to take a lot more than 33 minutes. I thought I was going to be ranting on this dude for an hour, but I did follow my notes. I got everything, pretty much damn near everything off my chest. He wanted to say fuck Nipsey. Let me just say that. So he says fuck Nipsey. Nipsey was a gangbanger. Anybody who, again, if you're listening to this man, and you know, you don't even have to know Nipsey Hussle's music. A lot of people know Nipsey from what he was doing for the community, for Slauson, the mall that he built, black-owned stores, employing black-owned people, black people, and having black-owned businesses. That's harmful to the community because the nigga was a gangbanger. Oh, he was a gangbanger who did a lot for the community, who got out of that life. And yes, he acknowledged it within his song because he, unlike you, he doesn't hate where he comes from. He's gonna talk about his beginnings, his hardships, or he talked about his beginnings and hardships. But he was still doing for the community. That's a big part of why I love Nipsey. You know, it wasn't. I like his music, but it wasn't the best music I've ever heard out of the West, or just the best music in general. There's tons of music artists that I would put on before Nipsey. This ain't the podcast where that's the My 2 Cents podcast. You will hear ads for and all that, but you know, it wasn't the music as to why I was a big Nipsey fan. You know, and him saying fuck, he said fuck some other guy, right? Fuck some other rapper, right? Somebody I had no idea who it was, or at least I knew by name, but I didn't listen to its music. And the reason he says that he said fuck that rapper is because that rapper ended up before that rapper ended up getting killed, he ended up killing somebody else, right? And he was next to when he said fuck that rapper, he was in the presence of the family of the rapper or the person that rapper killed. The rapper killed that person's family. Well, not that person's family, but the rapper killed that person, right? And he was with the dead person's family. So he was like, "Oh, I said fuck this nigga because I was in the presence of them. I see, I'm being a hero. That makes you a hero." And he went off on Dion, and y'all know my thoughts about Dion Sanders. I shared my thoughts on Dion Sanders on this podcast. For the YouTube listeners out there, go listen to the audio stuff because I wasn't doing the videos back then, obviously. But and I didn't make YouTube videos on it. Because that's when I stopped making YouTube videos in general. But go and listen. The audio will be linked in the description box below, or at least the audio pod where you can find the audio version of the podcast. We linked in the description box below. So you can go listen to those episodes. Again, he says things that I do agree with. I disagree with, I do agree with how I don't feel 100% of how he feels about Dion, but I do agree. I do agree. And I honestly see where he's coming from. He's not the first one to go there about Dion. The reason why I haven't gone there personally is because at the end of the day, he's one man and I don't give a fuck. But he was like, fuck Dion, this, that, and the third. And I'm doing more. I got all the numbers. He pulls out his phone and he goes, I have all the numbers of the Jackson State folks, the athletes. They can call me anytime. And because, and like I was saying at the beginning, this dude thinks that he isn't anti-black because he'll do something for black folks, but it's really for his own ego, just for him to brag and all this shit to say, hey, look what I did. Look what I'm doing for these little niggers, these little nigglets. He's no different than white folks who do that shit or non-black folks who do the same shit. Who will go to Africa of all places or go to Haiti. That's their new spot now, Haiti. You know what I'm saying? They'll go to Haiti or somewhere in Africa or, and do some charity work. And oh, I can't be racist. I can't be anti-black. Look at what I'm doing for these niggers. You know what I'm saying? Like the only difference again is you got a black man, Charlston White, saying this shit, as opposed to the white saviors and the non-black saviors who be on that stuff. Same message though, same fucking message, same approach. But he pulls out his phone. He says, "Oh, them Jacksons, they can call me anytime. I bet they can't do that with Dion." So that makes every harmful thing that you said, every harmful thing that you've done to the community, like rape, and I'm gonna keep bringing that up because you said that, nigga. Whether you actually did it or not, and also he also said that he would slap his woman, right? Oh, I've never slapped my wife. I've never put hands on a woman. I'm not harmful. But then he said he would do it, which again, simply because you say you just simply because you've never done something harmful, but you say you would do something harmful. Saying you would do something harmful, yes, is it as bad? No, it's not as bad as actually doing it. Saying I will slap my wife and actually slapping your wife is not as bad as, saying I will slap my wife is not as bad as it's fucking bad, but it's not as bad as someone who just slaps their wife. And it's hella worse if you say you're going to do it and actually do it. It's worse because it's not something that should be admirable. Like he's a man of his word. Oh my God. This is why I fuck with Charlston White. He said he was gonna rape a bitch and he raped a bitch. No, it's this nigga did something harmful. I don't give a fuck if he's a man of his word in your eye, and that's some low IQ type shit. That's retarded. Yeah, that's the shit I was gonna say. That's a really? This is the shit that you think is cool? He said he's gonna do something harmful and he finally did it, and to you, how can you fathom in your fucking head that that's something that's cool? That's all right. Again, I'm not trying to focus too much on the fans. I'm gonna get on y'all asses though. Probably in the future, or if y'all were to comment on this bullshit, because I know especially on YouTube, there might be a lot of them. There might be a lot of them lurking. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna be all in the comments and shit. I'm ready. I'm ready, little bitch ass motherfuckers, dumb ass niggas. But nah, a lot of y'all gonna be saying some stuff because I didn't hurt your daddy's feelings. Where you know what I'm saying? I said some shit that you didn't want to hear about your daddy. You know? Tough, nigga. Find your real father. And if your real father's in your life, all the love that you're giving Charleston White, you should be giving to that man. Because I'm pretty sure if he's in your life right now, he's a hell of a lot better man than Charleston fucking White. So I don't know why you're idolizing that nigga. When you got somebody in your life who truly, truly is somebody that you should idolize. You know? It's almost getting up to an hour. The rest of that, what you just heard me, was not in my notes. That was me, you know, going off the cuff. But like I said, I got everything off my chest in regards to this situation. But the man thinks he's Mr. Non-harmful and all this other. He is harmful to the community. Fuck that nigga. Fuck Charleston White. That's what it is. All right. We're gonna get into another commercial break, and then we'll get into the last topic. Stay tuned.